You wuss. Brain Damage Bob!
Welcome to episode 0 of the Fun with Brain Damage Bob show. You know, sometimes there are just too many choices. I'm not just talking about ice cream flavors either, though there can never be such a thing as too much ice cream. The choices offered can be overwhelming sometimes. Color is another example where they seem to have gone overboard in creating new choices. I was just getting started out on YouTube, so I watched a video where a successful YouTuber was showing off his video setup. I was pleased to see that he was using a green bed sheet as the background for his videos. Ever since I was in the first grade, my favorite color has been green, so I bought a bed sheet just like his. As it turns out, the color was called chroma key green. Right now I'm wearing a $10 tie that I got from Amazon, but in the Amazon description, the color was called emerald green. I swear, both greens are the same exact color as what I had in that box of 8 fat crayons in the first grade. I remember that crayon was simply labeled green. At my wife's request, I recently repainted our living room. The color she selected was called Wyeth's Field. But that color looks just like a color I saw a lot of in the Army. Back then it was called olive drab. I'm beginning to think that often a new choice is just something old that's been relabeled. For a long time, I've been fascinated by all the debates over religious belief. Over the years, I've read a lot of books by atheist heavyweights just to get a balanced view against my own Christian leanings. I read The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. I even drove hundreds of miles to attend a lecture that he and Lawrence Krauss were giving in Ohio because, as a fundamentalist Christian, I had a pressing question to ask Dawkins about his friend Douglas Adams. But back to the topic of choices and new ways of labeling things. You can tell I'm reading this because I'm a miserable actor. Dawkins had come up with a new name for atheists. He wanted atheists to be called the Brights. That idea didn't go anywhere, though. I'm guessing that the rest of the atheist community were too nice to imply that people who believed in God were the dims. When I thought about the direction to take this channel and the Fun with Brain Damage Bob show, aside from using the channel as a vehicle to promote a momentous book that I've written, I lean towards weighing in on the theist-atheist debate, since I have what I think are some pretty unique perspectives on the issues. But since my book was all about the Christmas story, I had been doing a lot of research on what atheists had to say about that. So YouTube presented me with a video that an atheist had produced in order to debunk the nativity account as it's recorded in the Bible. That atheist was a learned philosopher, and I was pleased to see that within that video he had managed to interpret the Bible more accurately than a Christian he was in a discussion with. You see, many Christians incorrectly think that the Bible says that Bethlehem was where Mary's husband was born. But this atheist nailed the correct interpretation by pointing to an adjacent Bible verse that said that Joseph had to report to Bethlehem only because he was descended from King David. That philosopher was prolific, too, producing a new video every few days. Quite a few of his videos were about the nativity account, and he had even written a book critical of the Bible's story of Jesus' birth. I bought his book, and I'm on my second read-through now to help me prepare for a video I want to make. In another book, he mentioned the fact that there are very many different, mutually exclusive religions in the world as a way to imply that none of them are the one true religion. When you think about it, though, if the one true religion does actually exist and also happens to include the notion that there is an enormously powerful supernatural entity who has dedicated himself to deceiving people, isn't a confusing array of religions exactly what you'd expect to see? All the distracting religions might just be an indication that somebody is trying to hide the correct one. Now, that wasn't a compelling proof of anything, except that the many religions objection that he had isn't a very compelling argument either. My atheist spent almost all of his YouTube and literary efforts on countering the Christian religion. No doubt that's partially because Christians generally don't cut off your head in the middle of the street when you criticize their religion. He said that there were 45,000 different Christian denominations as part of his critique, but he admitted that most of those denominations don't claim to be the exclusive one true religion, but instead were accidents of geography, as in the First Methodist Church of Des Moines. But I had made my choice. Rather than choose an Olympian like non-stamp collector with his thousands of subscribers as my focus, I chose a Tippling Philosopher, which is an underappreciated gem of a channel. Of all the atheists on YouTube, I had mine. I bought another book of his, 30 Arguments Against the Existence of God. I feel that book is a good introduction to a lot of the typical atheist objections to Christian belief. For that reason, once I had read his books, I left glowing reviews on Amazon, even though every argument he made was an error in some way, as nearly every other atheist argument is. Tune into episode 1 of the Fun with BrainDamagedBob show for a deep dive into his objections to the Star of Bethlehem. So until then, I'm BrainDamagedBob. Take care.